No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken episode number 438. And breaking today, outrage at Slippery Starmer, who is branded a traitor after attending a Ramadan Iftar at Westminster just hours after the furious US President Donald Trump suggested the UK's corrupted Prime Minister's position on Iran was because of the Muslim vote.
But on Iran, I want to make clear the UK was not involved in the offensive strikes of the US and Israel, and that remains the case.
That's what capitulation looks like. But it got worse. The MSM have ignored this speech of shame, where Starmer also renewed his pledge to criminalise Islamophobia and declared the Muslim community as the face of modern Britain.
So let me be crystal clear. I will always stand firmly against anti-Muslim hatred in all its forms. I will root out Islamophobia. I will challenge it. You are the face of modern Britain. You are all representatives of a Britain that is, by any historical or international standard, a success story.
It got worse, though. I will show you all of the horrifying footage in my digest next. Desperate Starmer had no answers to Donald Trump and PMQs today, though.
Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Hanging on to President Trump's latest words is not the special relationship in...
There's a new treachery crisis for Labour too as we come on air today with the partner of Labour MP Joanne Reid and the partner of a former Labour MP among three arrested on suspicion of spying for China. Reid broke her silence today, saying that she has no reason to believe that her husband has broken the law, but we will get all of the analysis from today's brilliant superstar panel. Activist Sarah White, a member of the Advance UK leadership team, and Nate H., a Lotus Eaters contributor and host of the brilliant YouTube daily news show, The State of Politics. Father Calvin Robinson will be with us later in the show as well. Also coming up today, Reform UK moves even further to the left with the defection of... There's even more lefty loons to come. What are they doing? Restore Britain's Rupert Lowe calls for the arrest of ex-Tory turned Reform so-called shadow Chancellor Robert Jenrick. And Hope Not Hate's annual hate report for 2026 has been released. Oh, all the best people are in it. Trust me, we're going to expose the ludicrous anti-British piece of hard left propaganda later on today. Then in the Royal Uncancelled After Show over on Substack, there's growing concern among the royal family and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle about the plans of Sarah Ferguson, yes, Fergie, as a tell-all book promises even more reputational risk. We'll get into all of the royal latest with YouTube sensation, according to Taz. You can sign up to watch at www.outspoken.live. We're also going to reveal a brand new Greatest Britain and Uni and Jackass before the end of the show as well. Here are today's nominees. Nate H has nominated Nigel Farage for allowing an ex-Labour person into the party who says anyone who is here legally is a British citizen. Sarah White has nominated Zach Polanski, the tit whisperer, for wanting to legalise heroin and crack. And Father Calvin Robinson has nominated Lick Lowles of Hope Not Hate for his pathetic, weak hate report. Three brilliant nominees there. Get voting. Keep your comments in throughout the show. I will share some of the best before we go today. But now, let's go. It was the moment of total capitulation, with the Middle East descending into a war designed to stop the unrelenting march of Islamist extremists from Iran, and just hours after Donald Trump had suggested Slippery Starmer's position could be down to appeasing the Muslim vote, he took his message not to the British public, but a Westminster Iftar. It was for Ramadan.
And a huge thank you to the APPB on British Muslims for organising tonight, as they always do. It is a real honour to join you this evening in celebrating Iftar and to do it for the second year running. And I know that we won't be alone here. Up and down the country, families and communities have been coming together throughout Ramadan, welcoming neighbours of all faiths and of none, strengthening the bonds of community and decency.
So after the Wootton and Denton by-election, our corrupted Prime Minister and his increasingly hard-left party have realised the only way they can stay in power is if they challenge the Greens at being the top Islamist party on the left. The messaging was striking. As concerned citizen raged as World War III breaks out, this is what Great Britain Prime Minister Keir Starmer is doing right now. Truly insane. Basil the Great declared he can't stop pandering to Muslims. An inevitable West argued Donald Trump said earlier it was possible Starmer was pandering to Muslims. 12 hours later, here he is holding a Westminster Hall iftar telling the Muslim community that Britain was not involved in attacking the Iranian terror regime. Donald Trump was right. US independent media sensation Dave Rubin was even more damning in his assessment of our Prime Minister. This clown, he wrote, makes Neville Chamberlain look like Rambo. Starmer, of course, immediately started talking about the Middle East in front of his gathered Muslim favourites.
This year I know that when we pause, so many people will turn their minds to the Middle East, where, yet again, the situation is grave and is dangerous. I want to reassure everybody here that we're doing everything we can to support British citizens in the Middle East and to bring families and loved ones home. The pictures we see of ordinary people on holiday, in transit, just going about their business in Dubai, Qatar, or wherever they may be, they should not be on the front line of conflict. No civilian should be on the front line of conflict.
But that didn't win over the Islamists in the room, and Starmer knew it. So he went further, first talking about their passion project of Gaza.
Now, of course, the war in the Middle East did not begin last week. We've seen far too many innocent lives lost, women and children among them. In Gaza, most of all, we must not lose sight of them and the need for peace, justice and security in Palestine and Israel.
Oh, in Israel. Israel, remember them. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that country in this room. That was an awkward aside, wasn't it? But then we come to the big boast, the real reason for Starmer's fallout with Trump. The UK, he told the Muslims, was not involved in Trump's Iranian strikes as he boasted about his opposition to the Iraq War too.
But on Iran, I want to make clear the UK was not involved in the offensive strikes of the US and Israel, and that remains the case. As many of you will know, I never supported the Iraq War back in 2003, and I'm determined that we learn and follow the lessons today.
We now have a Prime Minister making policy, international policy, so that he can boast to Islamists. United Kingdom activist Tommy Robinson raged, Keir Starmer has demonstrated large amounts of cuckery in his time, but this takes the biscuit. He's hosting Iftar for Muslims at Westminster tonight and reiterates to them that Britain didn't help their allies against Iran, literally bent over for votes. They even clap. Defeated Reform candidate for Gorton and Denton, Matt Goodwin, bemoaned, "It's hard to watch Keir Starmer explain to Muslims why the UK is not joining our Western allies dismantle an extremist Islamist regime and not conclude that Trump is right. Labour's priority, as with the grooming gangs, is not to upset its Muslim voters." And from Nick Dixon, absolutely shameless. "I don't even want to get involved in this war, but not for the reason of pandering to Muslim voters. He is incapable of showing the same consideration to British people. We never saw this after Southport. Unbelievably, Starmer then went even further, took an even more extreme position to appease the Islamists, who already hate him, by the way. He renewed his pledge to criminalise Islamophobia, effectively introducing a blasphemy law through the back door that would stop us from criticising this dangerous faith.
So let me be crystal clear. I will always stand firmly against anti-Muslim hatred in all its forms. I will root out Islamophobia. I will challenge it. And my government will match those words with the action that they deserve. And that's why last week we announced up to £40 million in funding for security of mosques and Islamist schools. And it's why I will fight with every breath I have to root out the hatred that seeks to divide us.
Just chilling. Yet, as Stephen Barrett, the barrister, said, Iran attacked innocent Muslim nations. Starmer's a racist who panders. He then made clear whose side he's really on, saying it is the Muslim community that is now the face of modern Britain.
In Ramadan especially, we must be defiant, because the British Muslim community is not defined by this. It is defined by the success, the brilliance, and the creativity in rooms like this, by contribution that Muslims make to Britain's story and to our national life. That is how it's defined. In business, in art, in education, in public service, you are the face of modern Britain. You are all representatives of a Britain that is, by any historical or international standard, a success story when it comes to diversity. That is the Britain I know, that I love, and the Britain that we are. And it is my job, the job of my government, to tell that deeper story and drown out the voices of those who seek to divide us.
Oh, that is disgusting. It makes me rage. And just as he gives everything away, as he completely says that Christians and white people don't matter, did you notice there were so many people in that room not even listening to him? Lawrence Fox reacted with just one word: traitor. And there certainly seems to be a lot of those traitors within Labour, given the intriguing breaking news today that a partner of Labour MP Joanne Reid and the partner of a former Labour MP, as yet unnamed, is among 3 arrested on suspicion of spying for China. Now, Reid broke her silence today, saying that she has no reason to believe that her husband, David Taylor, has broken the law. The MP for East Kilbride also stressed that she is not an admirer or apologist for the Chinese Communist Party's dictatorship. She added, I have never been to China, I have never spoken on China or China-related matters in the Commons. I have never asked a question on China-related matters. I am a social democrat who believes in freedom of expression, free trade unions and free elections. I am not any sort of admirer or apologist for the Chinese Communist Party's dictatorship. As I say, it's all very intriguing. This open letter about Starmer from Flower Pot struck a nerve with me, though. After the Iftar, they wrote, does Starmer realise the chilling images at Westminster Hall have sent a clear message to the people of Britain? He has publicly declared a side. What are his motives? What is he trying to achieve? Is he actually scared of the Muslim community? Why has he ignored the concerns of those expressed by other world leaders about the decline and future catastrophic consequences of uncontrolled immigration on Britain? He is now flaunting his power in one of our oldest revered buildings, where our Queen and Winston Churchill were laid in state. Is he acting alone? Why are the government candidates, Labour MPs, blindly defending him? All good questions. But in some ways, what happened after Starmer's speech actually got worse. I want to show you just how captured he is by this community. Because with Allahu Akbar blaring in the background, Starmer got up close and personal with the Palestinian ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you, Prime Minister, and I'm so sorry.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
They look like gay lovers at an Islamist club, if such a thing existed. He was then introduced to the Pakistani High Commissioner as he accepted a date, not that type of date, you know, the food that they eat, before being ushered from the room, guided by the Muslim Labour MP Naz Shah. And what's most shocking is that there remains total denialism from the Labour hierarchy about what happened in Gorton and Denton, including that woman we saw there, the Labour Muslim MP Naz Shah, who was all over the Prime Minister and went from that event straight onto the Newsnight sofa, where she claimed, wrongly by the way, that there was nothing dodgy about the by-election. And of course, she received absolutely no pushback from the British Bashing Corporation's host, Victoria Derbyshire. Watch.
Now, what happened in Gorton and Denton, I can very, very clearly, because I've fought for this over a decade now, was not clan politics, and it wasn't brotherly politics, and it definitely wasn't sectarian politics. What it was, and the first rule for me is you don't blame the voters. You know, I lost a majority from 28,000 to 707 this last election because people were upset with our position on Gaza. So you don't blame them. We need to make the case. As politicians, it's our job to get the trust of people. And I met the new MP for Gorton and Denton. She was at the Iftar in Parliament today, which the Prime Minister addressed. And she's a lovely girl, and I wish her well. She's a Member of Parliament, but she has a mandate. It was up to us to have changed that.
OK. Naz Shah, thank you very much. Good luck with
Not any pushback from Victoria Derbyshire about the family voting, which was confirmed by independent verifiers in the room. But the mainstream media have just ignored the Westminster Iftar event. It's as if it didn't happen at all, even though two of the main contenders to replace Starmer, Ed Rayner the tax evader and Wes Streeting, were both there. Indeed, Streeting, the health secretary, got up and engaged in pure race-baiting politics. Now, remember, this is an ambitious man who wants to roll Starmer as Prime Minister, but also admitted to his great mate Peter Mandelson that the Islamist takeover in his own constituency means he will most likely be booted in exchange for a sectarian MP at the next election.
I think what we have seen in recent days is age-old racism that I thought we had consigned to the 1970s and the 1980s. Basically saying that if you don't look like me, even if you were born here, you can't really be British. That is just about the most un-British thing I can think of. How dare people in this country fly our country's flag, whether it's the St George's flag of England or the Union flag of the United Kingdom, and say that that flag belongs to people who look like me, but not people who look like the Home Secretary of our country, the Mayor of this city, or many people here this evening. All of us have a responsibility to stand against that kind of hatred and discrimination.
Now remember, all of what I have just shown you happened literally 1 hour after Trump tore into Starmer unprompted in the Oval Office in a new low in terms of relations with our great ally.
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it, for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
No, it's not. And remember, in a furious interview from the Oval Office with the Sun newspaper just before those public comments, Trump raised the spectre, the possibility that Starmer's decisions are because of the Muslim vote. Now, if Starmer wasn't so tragic, he would actually be hilarious. His latest video of his behaviour during this war, which basically involves awkward conference calls, makes it look as if he's David Brent in The Office, but David Brent became the most hated UK Prime Minister in history. Look at this.
Emmanuel, Friedrich, really good to hear from you.
I think we are all concerned about what could happen within the next couple of hours or days.
We weren't involved, as we've made clear, in the strikes, although we are operating defensively in the region in relation to our assets and liabilities and allies. I think we've completed nearly all of the regional calls, have we?
Prime Minister, how are you?
Hi. How are you? These are very big decisions. I want to hear your views, helping with the principles that we should apply as we go forward from here. Not joining the offensive. Yeah. This is about collective self-defence of regional allies and British civilians are now at risk. Good.
You are going to be put through to the office of the President of Cyprus.
We're deploying a Type 45 air defence destroyer to help defend Cyprus. Brilliant. Thanks, Nicholas. Bye now. Bye.
As Defence Analysis put it, just a crisp, piercing depiction of the modern state of British power. Conference calls, walking back and forth, listening to other people make decisions. Now, things didn't get better at PMQs today, as Starmer was humiliated by Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
The situation in Iran shows this Prime Minister has the wrong priorities. When it comes to defence, it's someone else's job. When it comes to welfare, they find the money. When our bases are attacked, they call the lawyers. When our energy security is under threat, they stop drilling in the North Sea. Mr. Speaker, the truth is, or in fact, Mr. Speaker, after last week's by-election, isn't the truth that he is, isn't the truth, they might not like to hear it, but they are going to hear it, Mr. Speaker, whether they like it or not. Is it not the truth that he is prioritising his job security over our national security?
Mr. Speaker, I spent the week protecting British lives and our national interest. And Mr. Speaker, moments like this define a leader of the opposition. They can either step up, act in the national interest and show that they're fit to be Prime Minister, or they can expose their utter irrelevance. She has chosen the second.
But it was the Tory MP Gareth Bacon who really got under Starmer's skin, prompting him to totally dismiss Trump and his comments.
Mr. Speaker, the United States of America is our most important international strategic ally. Does the Prime Minister believe that his dithering and equivocal response to events in the Middle East this week has made that relationship stronger or weaker?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the American planes are operating out of British bases. That is the special relationship in action. British jets are shooting down drones and missiles to protect American lives in the Middle East on our joint bases. That is the special relationship in action.
sharing intelligence every day to keep our people safe. That is the special relationship in action. Hanging on to President Trump's latest words is not the special relationship in action.
The whole world knows why Starmer has pivoted away from the US. As Labour columnist Dan Hodges pointed out in the Mail, it is all down to the certain tit whisperer and his Islamist Green Party. He wrote, the day after Labour's crushing defeat in the Gorton and Denton by-election last week, I was speaking to a Labour MP. We need to forget Farage, he told me. Our enemy is Zach Plansky. We've got to make the voters see what the country would be like if he was their Prime Minister. After 3 days of the widest and most intense conflict in the Middle East for almost a century, Britain no longer needs to conjure up that nightmarish vision. We have witnessed firsthand exactly what it is like to have a globally immature pacifist who is in hock to radical left-wing and Islamist elements occupying number 10 Downing Street. Keir Starmer has seen to that. Meanwhile, the situation on the ground in the Middle East remains very unstable, with this terrifying footage of an Iranian drone attack on the US consulate in Dubai overnight making that clear.
Shit.
But in another damning indictment of Labour, Reform UK's billionaire treasurer Nick Candy says he feels safer in Dubai, even now, than he does in Sadiq Khan's London. Writing in the Mail, despite the war, I felt completely safe. By contrast, when I'm out in Sadiq Khan's London, I'm constantly on edge, wary of taking my phone out in public, alert for muggers who want to rip the watch off my arm. There's more chance of getting stabbed on a London street than of being injured in an Iranian attack in the UAE. Now, the Superstar panel. Nate H. of The State of Politics and Sarah White of Advance UK join me now. Sarah, what was your reaction to seeing Starmer and those Islamists, that bizarre speech saying that Muslims are now the face of Britain, the totally weird body language with the Palestinian ambassador? How did it make you feel? Because I'm seeing a huge amount of anger out there over this.
It made me feel furious, really, but I don't expect anything less from him. He's pandering to them like that there's no tomorrow. He's bending over backwards. He's doing everything for them. And I just don't understand why, because, I mean, is it because of the vote? I'm not too sure. But any Muslims that I know have said that they're disgusted with him and they wouldn't be voting for him anyway. So I just don't get it, what he's doing.
Nate H., how did you feel about those scenes last night at the Iftar?
Oh, repulsed. Absolutely repulsed. Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks, Keir. Thanks, mate. Yeah, just keep pleasing them. Just bring on the sectarianism. Just keep it going. Just crank it open that little bit longer. Yeah, it's definitely going to work this time, mate. This time, they definitely won't be radicals. Just get out of my country. Just get out of my country. And the fact that he sat there going, you're the face of modern Britain. Really? Alfred the Great would say otherwise. Ethelstan would say otherwise. Come on. Just what are we doing here? Everyone knows the problem. The solution's clear as day. No one wants to do anything about it. So everyone just points their fingers and goes, yep, this is a problem. Yep, this is a problem. Okay, yeah, great. You going to do anything about it? Then nope. We're just going to please them for one more parliamentary term. One more little parliamentary term. We'll keep them pleased for a little bit longer. God, it just winds me right up.
And do you think, Nate, that this is completely cynical? Like, is it all about winning the Muslim vote, appeasing Islamists, or do they really believe what they're saying? Are they really that desperate to just throw our country away, to say that our culture means nothing?
Yeah, difficult to know really from someone like Keir Starmer, isn't it? Because he comes from the human rights lawyer background, isn't it? So he is effectively a true believer of globalism, right?
Yeah.
Any whiff of nationalism, like he'd soil himself like a 2-week-old baby. So I don't know,
I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think you've totally summed up the difference between the two different types of Labour politicians we saw there. I actually think Slippery Starmer is a true believer of this, right? I think he hates true British culture. He certainly hates true English culture. But then we see Wes Streeting. And I think with Streeting, it's totally an act. Like in the messages with Peter Mandelson, he admitted he's out at the next election because there's a sectarian candidate who is going to beat his ass. So I think you do have some Labour politicians where it's something that they truly believe, whereas others, it's just cynical vote grabbing. But actually, neither scenario is a positive thing. They're all traitors as far as I'm concerned. It almost doesn't matter why they're doing it.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. I mean, the thing about Wes Streeting, the thing about pretty much the entirety of that front bench of Labour and just Labour in general, they're all going to lose their jobs. And Wes Streeting has illustrated that he knows he's going to lose his job. That he knows exactly why he's going to lose his job. And again, you know how to fix it. You know how to fix it. But I think what annoyed me the most is you sat there talking about the Middle East. Mate, you're in Westminster. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why does anyone in England care about the Middle East? Why does anyone in England care about the Middle East? Yeah, sure, from the perspective of the sort of bedrock and birthplace of terrorism. Yeah, sure, fine. Great. Yeah, we could worry about it from that perspective. But you've just had literally 2 days in a row, mass stabbings. Sorry, where's the money to defend people from that? Where's the additional police funding? What are you doing?
Not a word about these incidents. I watched all of PMQs today, not a word.
40 million.
Yep. And there wasn't a word about this stuff. Wasn't a word about the stabathons 2 days in a row. Slippery Starmer still hasn't responded to Siobhan White's request for a meeting with him. That's the mother of Rhiannon White. So it really was disgusting on so many levels. Sarah, the thing is that I think people are so fed up with this, but at the same time, Labour are going to do more and more of it because of the polling that shows the Greens now ahead of them. It worked, like the Gorton and Denton by-election worked for them. And then Naz Shah, goes on Newsnight and just says, oh, no, this was all our fault. Nothing went wrong in the vote in Gorton and Denton. It's like, literally, the democracy observers saw family voting taking place in every poll station. What are you talking about?
I know the corruption is just runs so deep, doesn't it? It's right at the core of Labour. But let's face it, they don't care about this country. They don't care about the people who deserve to be here. When he says about he's going to call out Islamophobia, how about he calls out about the rape gangs that attack young British white women and children? How about the attacks, like Nate just said? How about the stabbings that have gone on? He doesn't care about people of this nation. He never has and he never will. And as far as I'm concerned, he's just trying to ruin it at every single turn. He's never going to put us first. He will put undocumented men coming into this country before the priority of anybody. You had Winston Churchill saying we will fight them on the beaches, and you've got Starmer saying come on to our beaches and we'll give you a 4-star hotel to stay in. How on earth he is filling Winston Churchill's shoes? He couldn't even tie his laces. He's the worst prime minister ever. And the sooner he's out of that position, the sooner we can start getting this country back to a position where it needs to be. But unfortunately, he's ruined it to a point where we're going to be at a point soon where there's a point of no return.
I think we are there. Nate. Don't you?
Well, point of no return. No. We've been invaded.
You
before.
have hope?
Yeah, absolutely I do. Yeah, 100% I do. The British, the English, Scottish, Northern Irish, Welsh, the British, have suffered significantly worse. It just takes someone with some stones to actually do what is necessary. It's all well and good being like, well, these are the face of modern Britain and blah blah blah. And, well, these are legal. No, shut up. Stop. The civil servants were rubber stamping. Home Office were rubber stamping passports and citizenship for a whole millions and millions and millions of people. And the argument of, well, we were never asked. We were asked. Every single election, the British people said, no thanks, we don't want any foreigners here, can you please stop? And every single election, quite literally 4 decades, every single election, every single government subsequently just betrayed everyone. So no, there's no democratic mandate for the country to be flooded with random foreigners. They can all go home, they've got a place, they can all go home. It just takes someone with some stones to do what's necessary. Go away, be gone. It's not your homeland. You've got somewhere to go.
And you think that man is Rupert Lowe?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. He's the only guy which is saying the stuff which is necessary. If millions go, yeah, millions go. Yeah, we'll ban halal. Yeah, we'll ban kosher. Yeah, we'll make the place inhospitable to them because it is an alien culture and British culture, English culture should be paramount. Yeah, of course it should. It's not their homeland. It's my homeland. It's not Pakistan, for God's sake. One of the things which never made sense to me, like 9/11 happened, and 9/11's obviously just one of them, but a whole multitude of terror attacks happened, and they're like, yeah, you know what would be the best idea? We just open the floodgates to Islam. Yeah, we just open the floodgates. What are you doing, you clowns? Like, what? Oh, anyway.
It was the most insane betrayal, actually, the most insane betrayal. And the perfect example of suicidal empathy in our elite class. And it came from every major party in every major Western democracy, which is most sickening and why it's actually globalism that has to be overturned. It's not enough just to do it here. Breaking today, as the UK gets more and more up in arms about the Islamist takeover, about Slippery Starmer's capitulation to the hard left Green Party. Do you know what Reform UK have decided to do? Do you know what Nigel Farage's solution to this is? And that's why when people say, oh, you're being too hard on Farage, you're being too hard on Reform UK, this must be personal. No, it's not. I like Nigel Farage. I've always liked him personally. He was my colleague for 3 years. But what he's done today surely has to be the final straw for you people on the fence, because he has just rolled out the red carpet to 2 Labour figures ahead of the elections in May, confirming that we're actually going to expect to see many, many more Labour names taking over Reform alongside the Tories in the weeks and months ahead. So he actually held a big press conference for this announcement in London, where he said that former Labour Mayor of Newham, Sir Robin Wales, and ex-councillor Clive Furness were both defecting from Labour to join the party. And I have to say, it was a car crash press conference, inspired no confidence when Clive forgot the name of his new party. He didn't call it Reform, he called it the Respect Party, and then apologised to Nigel before making this statement. Watch.
But they are speaking, and they are the only people who have been speaking to the issues affecting the British public.
And it arguably got worse for Furness as he made the bizarre claim everyone here legally in Britain are British citizens. Oh, and he loves refugees too.
Anybody who is here legally is a British citizen and entitled to the full support of the British state. Now, I actually am fairly sympathetic towards refugees, not to people who are seeking a better life at the expense of people in Britain.
That's the new face of Reform UK. And there's more bad news. As Nigel says, there's loads just like him who are about to join in the near future. Oh, goody. Watch.
We are talking to a number of Labour figures. What is particularly pertinent about these 2 guys is their record in government in London as we approach a London election. There are other Labour figures we're talking to, and you will see them over the course of the next weeks and months.
But of course, he did send out a not so subtle warning that if any of them step out of line, they'll disappear. Watch.
They certainly don't have to agree with everything I say, but if they're disloyal about me, well, they tend to disappear quite quickly. A couple more. Ellie Hodges, New Culture Forum.
Oh, not something to boast about.
That's how I work.
Thank you. Nigel, how do you...
That's how I work. Yeah, Rupert Lodes knows. The comments, though, my team were looking at the comments on this official live stream on YouTube. I have to say, look at these. They were brutal. This was just a random selection, right? But someone suggested that this could see Elon Musk funding Restore Britain. Someone else said Labour's washed ups. Another said reform is finished. It's getting silly now. And this one, who files a fake police report against his colleague? A snake. If his own MPs can't trust him, how can any of us? But it wasn't just on YouTube where Farage and Reform were receiving brutal criticism about their direction. As Farage unveiled the Labour defector, Dan Hodges posted on X, as I've been saying, Reform really are starting to lose their way. And the ex-account Britain is broken, added Reform UK have just took on 2 Labour defectors. Yes, the party full of failed Tories who helped bake Britain have now taken on 2 defections from the current Labour government. Reform UK is the uni party. And of course, this isn't the only controversy Reform UK has faced this week. The current war between Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage on whether we should take a Britain first approach to the Middle East conflict deepens by the day, while Farage has come out in support of the Western military actions on Iran. Worrying consequences have now emerged that may contribute to the further destruction of the disunited kingdom. The Telegraph has warned that Britain is braced for a surge of Iranian asylum seekers. Migration experts said that Iranians fleeing the war and an estimated 2.5 million displaced Afghans in Iran could leave the country and fuel the migration crisis further. Restore Britain's Lewis Brackpool posted on X a call to Reform UK supporters. We want to put British interests first. You don't deserve to be let down again. We are not mad Muller supporters, as Richard Tice says. We understand the impact of foreign policy. You will see a Farage wave if you allow this man to be PM. And if these predictions from migration experts come true, then a Farage wave is exactly what we might get. So again, I just stress for people who say, why are you criticising Reform UK? This is why. This is why. Sarah White, Nate H. I mean, they're not even hiding it, Nate. Are they? I mean, Farage is boldly now wanting his party to be taken over by Tories and Labour. It's just like enough, right?
Don't stop criticising them, Dan. Just don't. No, actually, do stop criticising them. Let them do their thing. Let them reconstitute the uni party under one banner, one teal, turquoise, whatever you want to call it, banner. Let them do it. It's fine. Let them destroy themselves. Let them implode. Let Restore come in and take over. That's fine. Just do it. Crack on. What an absolute clown show Nigel Farage is. What an absolute utter clown show. And it's mad to think. It's mad to think that people are still... The reformers are still like, yeah, no. He's definitely secretly based. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's absolutely not. If he's not compromised by some kind of like state asset, he's not based remotely. It's one of the two. I don't know what it is. I don't care. But no, definitely stop criticising them. Don't give them tips. Let them destroy themselves. And that absolute just raging douche canoe traitor sitting there going, well, if they're here legally, they're British citizens. Yeah, I guess so. You got me on a technicality, mate. But you know what? You know what the difference is between a true British individual and a British citizen. I can remove you by policy if I get in power if I want. Yeah, you might be here legally. There's still no mandate. It goes back to what I said before. There was no mandate for these people to come here. No one's ever wanted these people to come here. Yeah, you might be here legally against the natives' wishes. Thank you very much. So yeah, definitely stop criticising them. Let them absolutely destroy their party. I love it. I love it. I log on every day. I'm like, what have they done now? How far are they going to go down in the polls? It's like they're purposely tanking their party. So bizarre.
It is. It's Sarah. I think their strategy is oh, we're going down, so we have to keep moving to the left.
Yeah, which is bizarre. But in 2025, I was at the Reform conference and Nigel said on stage, it is now that I will be welcoming in people that have spent their lives in politics. Is that who he meant? That he's going to now just start welcoming in anybody that's ruined the country? I know that he was inviting in all the Conservatives who have spent the last 14 years ruining the country, but now he wants to take on Labour as well. I mean, Reform was supposed to be, you know, the answer to saving this country, to saving this great nation. And basically, he's just following in Starmer's footsteps, isn't he? He's just becoming Starmer 2.0.
Yeah, he really is. We are joined now by Father Calvin Robinson. Father Calvin, why do you think that Farage is so desperate to move Reform UK to the left? Like, boasting about the fact that we've got these Labour guys and we've got more Labour guys coming. It's like, is he not reading the room, or is he being badly advised, or is there something else at play here?
And it's like Farage has said before on record, he has done more to control the far right in Britain than anyone else. He is controlled opposition. He is containment. His job is to bring everyone from the right back towards the centre and even the centre left, which is where he's rearing now. It's a great shame because people were clamouring, as we just heard, people were clamouring out for something new and something different, and he offered that at first, or it seemed like he did. But we've known all along two things. One is that Farage doesn't have a set of principles, and the second thing is that he really, really wants to be in the establishment, and so he'll do whatever it takes. I think today he'll have had a very horrible a horrible day, because they will have seen how much the Hope Not Hate report broke down Reform as if the Reform Party is somehow far right or something. He will have hated that. He wants to be loved by the left, by the hard left indeed. And I don't know why, other than it's because he wants to bring everyone into some kind of fake centre so that he can get his position as a member of the establishment.
Nate, there is a huge arrogance, though, isn't there, connected to what Reform UK are doing. I know for a fact, Nate, I've spoken to very senior people in the party who say we don't view Restore Britain as a threat at all. Now, that is a bizarre position to take, but they seem to believe it.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Fastest growing party in history, I think, if I remember rightly. Yeah, good.
100,000 members, Reform. 7% in the new Find Out Now poll today.
Yeah, and that's without any like major publicity. Rupert Lowe's not been invited on, any news networks. So remember, this is without any publicity, and people going, "Well, it's online, mate." Like 2/3 of adults are online. What? How do you think the Greens just won Gorton and Denton? I mean, obviously appealing to Muslims, but largely that was all online. Do you think people are not online? Do you think that the online world doesn't translate to the real world? Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. He's the only MP with some integrity, for goodness sake. Yeah. Reform, keep clowning yourself. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just keep detonating your own party. I love to see it.
Sarah White, how do you feel about where Restore Britain is going? Obviously, you're a senior member of Advance UK, had defected from Reform UK previously, but in the past week, your ex-Pink Ladies compatriot, Orla Minihane, has also defected from Reform UK, but she has gone to Restore Britain, not to Advance UK. Are you staying loyal to Advance?
I will always stay loyal to Advance because Ben and Advance have both been very good to me. And I don't believe that you should just jump because something new and shiny has come up. And let's face it, I don't think you can say they're the largest growing political party in history, because Restore Britain was a movement before Advance UK become a party. They have had advertisement, Nate, and by doing the grooming gang, rape gang inquiry, should we say, that obviously brought light to Rupert, that grew his members at that time. It would have also grown his membership through other things that have happened, certain people joining the party. But there are some things that need to be addressed with Restore, isn't there? And, that's coming to light with...
What?
It's supporters, Nate. So I don't know why you're doing that
such as what?
Nate, do you want to respond?
Well, yeah. I mean, what are we doing? Are we doing guilt by association? What are we doing here?
No, not at all. But I think, certain supporters need to be called out. So to show that your party doesn't support ethno-nationalism.
But I think they do to a certain degree. Isn't ethno-nationalism just nationalism?
No, I think, we're Great Britain and we need to show that we are a diverse nation.
That word.
And that we embrace people that are
what would separate advance from Blairism and globalism then?
And what's wrong with a nation being nationalist?
No, there's nothing wrong. What I'm saying is there are certain supporters that could be the downfall to restore. So I would like to see them, just call some people out and show that they're not in.
Well, it's interesting. I was speaking to someone senior in Restore Britain last night because there's a lot of accusations that have been coming the way of Restore Britain, but there are a lot of falsehoods that are being put out there about exactly what they're saying, because no spokesperson for Restore Britain has ever said that, for example, a non-native would never be able to stand for the party. I'm told that actually isn't Restore Britain's position because apart from anything else, it's actually against the law. So I think Rupert has made it clear that he isn't racist and that the policies are not racist. Now, in terms of
that was the case, that's not a racist
racism.
Well, no, to expect Britons to be standing in Britain, that's not racist.
Ethno-nationalism has got nothing to do with racism.
Remember
Brexit.
I don't believe Rupert is a racist. I'm not.
Everyone wanted to kick out the Polish people. They're bloody white, but we had loads of problems with Polish people. I love you.
Look at what's happening now. There's this divide. Even on this panel, there's this divide between CivNat and EthnoNat, and it's all a lie. It's all fake and gay.
Well, no, I don't agree with those terms. I've been very clear that I don't agree with the terms. But what I'm saying is I'm putting the point from Restore Britain officially that they are, because Sarah, you're saying, well, some of their supporters have been saying this, but the position from Restore Britain very clearly is that they haven't taken an ethno-nationalist position and that they are not saying that non-natives could not stand for the party. Now, Nate and Calvin, that might not go far enough for you, but I guess...
I think they should. Right. They should say if you're not British, you can't stand in a British election. That should be the law.
And of course, that is, don't get me wrong, that is 100%. What some of their supporters are saying. Like Lucy White has been on this show saying that. Connor Tomlinson has been on this show saying that. But it is not an official Restore Britain policy, at least at this point. I'm just clearing that up.
That's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, this whole game of playing guilt by association, it's clownish. It's infantile. Oh, you've got to denounce people. This is what people were saying about reform, denouncing Tommy Robinson. It's just it's clownish. It's absolute clownish.
No, and I totally agree with that. I had Peter C. Barnes on last night, and we were having that debate, and I was saying we don't want to become reform, where actually Restore Britain feels like it has to come out and condemn a supporter because they have taken a position that is a little bit more extreme. I agree with that. But Sarah, you're saying that actually Restore should be tougher.
I'm just saying that there should be a little bit more clarity. But on respect to what we was talking about with Advance, I'm loyal to Advance and I'm standing with Advance. And when other people have said and they've called Rupert out for starting a new party, I always said he was well within his rights to start a party. I think that too many people are getting involved and name calling and things like that. All I'm saying is for Restore to go forward, it might be better for them if they were to clarify things and call out the people that are deemed to be being racist. But as I stand as Advance is we are going forward. We are staying strong. I believe that we can succeed.
I think that falls into the trap of where politics has been for so long, in that everyone's just petrified of being seen as racist.
Yes, let's not do that to each other on the right, because it's what Reform UK are doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a neo-Nazi, or Layla Cunningham saying I'm far right. I think we've got to be really careful about that, because personally, I don't believe having the discussion as racist. I don't think someone would say that it was a racist policy in the United States of America to say that the president has to be born in America. So I think it's important that we have this debate without throwing the racist term around. But it's an interesting one, because obviously that is what Reform UK are now doing as well. Breaking today, Rupert Lowe has just gone nuclear with Nigel Farage calling for the Reform UK leader to arrest his shadow chancellor, Robert Jenrick. This is a fascinating escalation in the war between Farage, Jenrick and Reform UK with their former pal, their ex-MP, Rupert Lowe. And it all came after Nigel posted this on X with a picture of Robert Jenrick standing in front of a Britain is broken sign. And Farage wrote, Britain is broken, Britain needs reform, and tagged in his new so-called shadow chancellor. Yet Rupert replied, and you've managed to track one of the main culprits down. Now cuff him. And actually, I think this is going to become one of the most popular policy positions for Restore Britain, because how can Reform UK suggest that they are going to be able to hold the completely corrupt and, in I think a lot of cases, illegal Tory government, when you look at the terrible policies that were enforced upon us, and I believe illegal policies that were enforced upon us during the COVID pandemic, for example? How are they going to be able to tackle that at all when they have so many of the masterminds behind those policies? And I'm not just talking about Jenrick, Nadeem Zahawi, Nadine Dorries. There's a whole load now in senior positions within their party. So to my superstar panel, Advance UK's Sarah White, Father Calvin Robinson, and Nate H of the State of Politics. Father Calvin, what do you say? Is Rupert Lowe right? Jenrick and all of those Tory cabinet ministers should face justice for what they put this country through.
Absolutely. And I hadn't heard it put the way that you just mentioned it before, about the Tory government being illegal and their actions being illegal. But you make a very good point. There's so much that the last government needs to be held account for. And most of it is around COVID and how they illegally locked us down, illegally pushed medical interventions on people.
Illegally just forced us to jab.
Yeah, all of that should be criminal. There should be a formal investigation, but I suppose it will take the next government to put that in place, because the Labour Party, as much as they're supposed to be anti-conservative, are doing much the same thing. In fact, they were pushing for much the same thing throughout COVID too. But yeah, Rupert Lowe is absolutely right on this. He's such a breath of fresh air. It's so good to see someone in that house saying things that all of us are saying on these kinds of conversations. It would be nice if he could get into a position of power to implement some of this stuff.
Sarah White, what do you think? Cuff him. Cuff him. Do you agree with that? Has Robert Jenrick done something bad enough to actually be arrested?
I think everyone that was in power at the time of when we look at lockdowns,
which he was,
vaccinations and things like that, they was all complicit. They all played their part. Not one of them stood up and said, hold on a minute, we're not doing this for the greater good of the country. A lot of people's lives were lost. So every single person, and this wasn't just through vaccination. People lost lives through suicide. So there was a knock-on effect. The mental health that happened, children that went to school we had 4 years basically of students suffering, like a knock-on effect, because their grades, their time of study, socializing at school, all of these things had a massive impact. And then we look at people wasn't allowed to be with their loved ones in their hours of need. And I just think, they 100% should be held accountable. And I would like to see them punished in some way.
Nate H, what do you think? Should Robert Jenrick be in cuffs?
Yeah, I got 5 words for you. His name was Wayne Broadhurst. Yeah, never forget that name. Never forget that name. Murdered by an Afghan barbarian savage that should never have been let into this country. But Jenrick, he was proud of it. Yeah, wanted to smear them all over the country. And he did. Yeah, well done. Well done. How many lives have been lost due to the last Conservative government, how many lives are being lost by the current Labour government. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Yeah, we can talk about COVID. Obviously, that was, complete clown show, abuse of human rights, all manner of things. Absolutely. But people are dying literally every single day now. I mean, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. The savages don't belong in civilized society. Only the civilized do. So yeah, a lot of people are dead at the hands of the Conservative government and what they've done. A lot of people are dead at the current Labour government. They all need to be locked up. 100%. 100%.
I completely agree. And when you mention Wayne Broadhurst, I think it is so disgusting that is not a name that will widely resonate across the population, because the political class and the mainstream media literally turned away from his despicable murder by an illegal, remember, who had broken into this country, actually not via small vote, but via lorry. And that's a huge issue too, because we don't know. There are tens of thousands of more people invading the country by lorry every single month. We don't talk about that at all. And I also think of Rhiannon White as well, whose mother, Siobhan White, was on Outspoken very recently and has now written to the Prime Minister, Starmer, requesting a meeting with him. He has ignored her. There's the email that she sent to him. But I think, Nate, where you were completely right, is that the reason that this invasion is happening on a daily basis is because of the actions of the former government. And of course, Labour have just made it worse, but the invasion very much started under the Tories. And if you look at Jenrick, and look, I don't want to be unfair on Jenrick. In some ways, I think he is one of the better ones. But let's just look at the case of Rhiannon White. She was stabbed 23 times through the head with a screwdriver by an illegal who had been in this country for 5 weeks and was staying at one of the hotels that Robert Jenrick pushed to open. And Rhiannon was working there. And she was working there from the good of her heart. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure she probably would have preferred to be working at a hotel, where tourists lived rather than illegals. But people have to work, don't they? And she's a young mum of one. So I agree. We can't just forget what this party did. And indeed, one of the main reasons that Orla Minnie-Hain said that she had defected from Reform UK to Restore Britain was because of Robert Jenrick. Because, Sarah, you guys, the Pink Ladies, started your incredible campaign last summer after what went on at the Bell Hotel in Epping. And, of course, that was another hotel that the Tory government allowed to open.
Yeah, and I think, if you look, it's probably, I would say all of the hotels have been opened whilst under the Conservative government, more or less. And at the end of the day, every one of these hotels, the people in there pose a risk to every single community. It isn't just an isolated case. These cases are happening up and down the country. And there is no place for these people in our communities, in our society. They do not mix. They do not want to integrate. They pose a threat, and not just like a small threat. It's not just petty theft. These people are committing sexual assaults, rape and murder. And it is happening far too often. These things should not be happening. Yes, we have criminals in our own country, but we should have to deal with our own criminals. And then you look at our prison systems are being run by the Muslim Brotherhood. So yet again, we then can't focus on, sorting out our prison systems because they're getting overrun with these people that are coming into our country that shouldn't be here in the first place. And it's just a knock-on effect. I just feel that anyone who is in government, they are to blame. And you say that Jenrick is, is not that bad, but what, is the best of a bad bunch? We should have a great bunch representing our country, representing our 4 nations, and bringing it back to a place to be, worshipped and looked at by other countries as if, wow, we wish we was like them, because that's how we was looked at for like a century at least. We was looked at as something, wow, Great Britain's really got it going on. They are a force to be reckoned with. Now, we've got people, our Prime Minister representing us on the world stage? I don't think so. He's a complete embarrassment. So, no, that I would like to see them all cleared out and a whole new bunch put in. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
No, absolutely true. But Father Calvin Robinson, when you look at the fact that Nadeem Zahawi, who really was responsible for that jabbing campaign, for the vaccine passport campaign, and is now as senior as you can get within Reform UK, it's like there are so many reasons to not want this party near power.
Absolutely. These conservative politicians, the people who were in the former government, should not be anywhere near these so-called new parties. Otherwise, they just become exactly the same as the old parties. And I don't even think it's as bad as I don't think it's as bad as a lack of morality or bad policies. I think it just comes down to plain simple greed. When you look at what's going on with, you mentioned the migrant hotels, you know, there are a number of people who've been made multimillionaires. There's one in particular, Graham King, who's been made a billionaire through these migrant hotels. You look at who these people are friends with, well, they're Tory party donors, right? And so it's just a bit of a backslap. It's like, okay, you get the contract for this, another £7 billion for you from the taxpayer right there. You keep these hotels open with poor food and shabby toilet paper and just poor resources for the actual people that are supposed to be living there, and you make all the money. And I'm pretty sure some of the politicians will get some of that money back, if not directly, then through the party donations, which are clearly happening and on paper as evidenced by the mainstream media. And so the problem isn't just the former government had bad policies and bad morals. It's just that they were greedy and they wanted to make some money, and we all suffer as a result of it. Our children are getting murdered, you know, our daughters are getting raped, our sons are getting stabbed because they want to make more money. That's disgusting.
So this is so fun and actually really hilarious too. Hope Not Hate, which is a paedophilic hard left organization that no one should listen to. Like, they have the morality of a rabies-ridden rat, okay? Yet they think that they can put together a report every year describing who the really bad people in the United Kingdom are. This is it, the State of Hate report for 2026. But actually, what I've realized is that if you're in this report, you're actually a patriot. I look through it, I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, I love that person. They're on my show. That's a friend of mine. That'd be a great prime minister. And this new report, it's 150 pages worth. Can you believe that? And I went through it all today, and I've got my calculator out because, of course, on the Superstar panel today, we have Sarah White of Advance UK. She receives 2 mentions in the report. We've got Father Calvin Robinson. He receives 5 mentions in the report. I'm here with 11 mentions. And Nate H., who is a contributor at Lotus Eaters, the brilliant independent right-wing media outlet, they get 20 mentions. So we're all in the club, okay? It's like, it's a bit like, I'm not making this comparison, but you know when Lady Victoria Harvey said, you know, oh, if you're not in the Epstein files, you're a bit of a loser. That's sort of how I feel about the Hope Not Hate report. But this was nutty stuff. Let's go through it because you just have to laugh. The executive summary declared the far right is bigger, bolder, and more extreme than ever before. Indeed, more confrontational too, they said. And they also reported on the coming civil war and the fact that they think that is all down to the fact that Elon Musk is amplifying the British far right. So it's nothing to do with what might be happening in the country, nothing to do with the terror attacks, nothing to do with the daily invasion, nothing to do with the Islamism that we're seeing spread through our biggest cities, just to do with the fact that Elon Musk is amplifying people like us. The Pink Ladies feature. Sarah, you make your first appearance as a result of that. Isn't that insane? Like, think about who the Pink Ladies are, Sarah. A group of concerned mothers, grandmothers, who just decided that we have to try and protect our daughters from a systematic rape that is happening by the illegals in hotels. And all of a sudden, you're being described as part of the extreme far right in a hate report.
The world's gone mad, hasn't it? When you're put into a hate report because you stand up for the safety and well-being and protection of women and children, because you stand up for women's rights, children's rights, you want to protect your nation, you don't want undocumented men coming into the country and attacking women and children. You don't want men to rape young girls. You know, that's quite bizarre, isn't it? That then I end up that I'm someone to be looked at as to be hated in some way, and I'm far right and I'm radical and I'm a racist, a fascist, a thug. You know, that's quite strange behavior to call someone them things when they're just trying to protect women and children.
Totally.
And you know, when you've got people calling that out, whenever you're at these protests and you have people come and counter protest you, I just look at them and think, well, you know, they haven't got the brains they were born with. They obviously need their meds checks. We need to start opening up asylums again and, you know, putting them in there quite rapidly, because it's quite obviously they're enabling what's going on. They're obviously in support of it. They obviously like it that women and
That's
children...
what I always think. I'm like, are you not worried? You know, you stand up to racism people. Are you not worried about like your daughter being raped by someone from one of these hotels? Or are you not worried about your son being blown up on his way to work by one of these Islamists? I find it totally nuts. Okay, Father Calvin, let's go to your entry now. Let's have some fun with this. You are in the section. So am I. I'm in the same section. It's the radical right section. And you're there as an influencer and content creator. They say you mix your strict interpretation of Christian morality with an anti-immigrant and conspiratorial outlook that has become increasingly extreme over time. In January 2025, he mimicked Elon Musk's apparent Nazi salute at an anti-abortion event. Robinson, who defended his actions as a joke, was defrocked. He continues to speak at anti-abortion events in North America and co-hosts an occasional podcast with Lawrence Fox. So there you go, Father.
I'm going to use this as a promotion for my next show. I love the end paragraph. Robinson claimed that women need to know their place, that men shouldn't be gay, and that black people are committing most of the violent crimes, and therefore something needs to be done about that. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make that into the intro.
You're going to take their words and use it as your calling card. Okay, should we do mine? Shall we look at mine? I'm in the same category. So they say, Dan Wootton joined GB News in 2021 to host a discussion show. He was suspended and ultimately left his job after an incident on his program in which Lawrence Fox made sexually offensive comments about a female journalist. His new online outlet is named Dan Wootton Outspoken. Oh my God, this is what made me most furious, because you just know they've done it on purpose, and includes a YouTube channel with 292,000 subscribers. Well, you can actually see on screen, what are we at right now? 652,000 subscribers. And if you're watching, this is the time to subscribe, right? Because I've said we've only got 292,000. That infuriated me. And a Substack with 38,000 subscribers. Again, totally untrue. Last I checked, I was at 63,000. So it just shows you, not that I'm being precious, but it just shows you that this report is littered with factual accuracies. They went on to say, Wootton interviews familiar figures in the radical and wider far right, such as Lawrence Fox, Nick Tenconi, and Calvin Robinson. Wootton has emerged as one of the leading critics of Reform UK on the radical right, turning firmly against the party after the departure of Rupert Lowe in March 2025. This antipathy deepened in January 2026, with Wootton attacking Reform's choice of a Muslim candidate for London Mayor and its acceptance of the defection of former Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi. Wootton is now constantly engaged in spats with other figures across the right, making him a key source of tensions and disagreements across the movement. In that same category is Katie Hopkins. They describe her as a provocative far-right former columnist and current social media figure. Her career in mainstream media included stints as a host on LBC and columnist for The Sun and Daily Mail, slowly ground to a halt after her increasingly extreme statements went beyond what her respective employers could tolerate. Despite widespread controversy and regular cancellations in previous years, Hopkins has launched another run of live shows for 2026, with dozens of sellout events scheduled at venues starting in April. In May 2025, Hopkins was interviewed by the police over language used in her comedy shows, even though the investigation was later dropped. She has also continued her long-standing alliance with Stephen Lennon, aka Tommy Robinson, giving an energetic speech at September's Unite the Kingdom rally. And isn't that fascinating, Nate? They hate the fact that she is successful. She's selling out shows. She doesn't need the mainstream media and they don't know what to do about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, hope not hate. You were accurate in your assessment, your intro. It's like paedophilic aligned because one of their senior, what was it, an editor or a contributor to Hope Not Hate?
I think he was actually a full-time staffer, wasn't he?
I don't, maybe, at least very, very senior within, Hope Not Hate as an organisation. Yeah, absolute wrong and total pedo. Gross. But no one mentions that. Media didn't mention that properly. They didn't hang a lantern on that. Didn't make any reports about our tax money going to basically fund a paedophile. Yeah, no, got to be quiet about that. Absolute clown show. I mean, racist, far right, blah blah blah. Just yawn. No one cares. Yawn. Just come on now. Just and the commentary about, you can't notice things when they're saying about the potential civil war. Oh, people talking about it, that's what's going to make it happen. Really? That's the same nonsense that people said about Enoch Powell being like, oh, hey guys, if this continues, you're all going to get replaced. And, time has completely proven him accurate, completely vindicated Enoch Powell. Great. Yeah, well done.
And the public supported it.
Things.
The public supported it. It was just the mainstream media and the establishment who didn't. Okay, Nate, can we look at your entry, the Lotus Eaters entry? Because it's one of those sort of like backhanded compliments. Because Hope Not Hate say, with a level of production value unusual among the British far right, the Lotus Eaters website hosts an array of text, audio, and video content behind a paywall. It also uses mainstream platforms, including YouTube, where it has received almost 400 million views across its main channels. Since its launch in 2020, Lotus Eaters has become increasingly extreme, pushing nakedly racist and authoritarian positions while attempting to skirt censorship on YouTube. The outlet has also platformed an array of extremist figures and groups, including well-known fascists, and has links to formal political organisations. What did you make of that?
Wow, what a ringing endorsement. Thanks, Hope Not Hate. Cheers. Thanks. Absolutely. But yeah, sure. I mean, it's brilliant. I enjoy working, being a contributor for the Lotus Eaters. Great bunch of guys. Great outfit. Yeah, great production. Yeah. If you're not already, go subscribe. Go check them out. They're fantastic. And Hope Not Hate. Cry harder, man. Just cry. Like, no one cares about you. You've got, not only do you platform and have senior people that were pedos, but you've got actual fascists, former genuine like far right neo-Nazi people that used to work for you that have now just suddenly gone to the authoritarian left. Yeah, okay, well done. Yeah, something to be super proud of, mate, I guess.
God. Well, indeed, Connor Tonlinson, he actually pointed that out. I mean, he's in the report 5 times, he says. And he says, lying communist outlet Hope Not Hate have released their annual report. It's not obsessive to oppose an outfit that employs thug and Soviet apology Matthew Collins and convicted paedophile Liron Velleman, that's who you were referring to, Nate, and yet enjoys state funding and privileged access to Downing Street, the Home Office, Attorney General, MPs and Labour Lords. Hope Not Hate are utter retrobates who have attacked everyone from Charlie Downs' mother to Suella Braverman for trying to get justice for the victims of the Pakistani rape gangs. To be disliked by them is a badge of honour. And it's very clear that they are worried about these 2 new political forces. So first, Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain is a new entry in their hate list. And they write, Restore Britain is a pressure group turned political party headed by Rupert Lowe that aims to shift the discourse on immigration dramatically to the right. And Advance UK in there as well. And they say Ben Habib, who has previously claimed that Britain should let some migrants drown in the Channel, applied for registration with the Electoral Commission in September 2025, having met his self-imposed membership requirement of 30,000 for party status. Initially named the Integrity Party, Advance positions itself as a more hardline alternative to reform, and the party is largely made up of those who have either left the older party or been expelled. Farage has dismissed the group as a vanity project for those who can't take discipline. There is a similar dynamic in the support base of Rupert Lowe and his Restore Britain movement. Earlier in the month, the serial criminal Stephen Yaxley Lennon, aka Tommy Robinson, who has long been shunned by Farage, joined Advance, which in return sponsored Lennon's huge Unite the Kingdom rally in September. The association has caused the party difficulties, however, with its launch event in Newcastle cancelled by the venue on health and safety grounds. Sarah White, what do you make of the fact that Advance UK is now on this Hope Not Hate report?
Well, it just shows everyone's in the Hope Not Hate report, doesn't it? So, you know, I think you've got to wear it as a badge of honour, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. So Hope Not Hate are funded by, you know, when you look at certain people like Diane Abbott, I'm sure she's one of the funders of people like this. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem that any of us have appeared in Hope Not Hate's report. It's anybody who dares to go anyway, you know, towards the right, whether even if you're in centre, you're just going to be on that list.
And I know we're laughing about it. There is something particularly despicable about this, though. And I wanted to just talk about one entry, the New Culture Forum. I absolutely love the New Culture Forum. This is a very academic, intellectual organisation that was launched and has respectfully run for 20 years by Peter Whittle, the late, great Peter Whittle, who died at the end of last year. And he was such a respectful man and was always so careful about everything that he did. And of course, there's no reference to that. And yet the report just slams the New Culture Forum as some type of terrible organisation. I just thought, well, you really are sick and twisted. So they wrote, the NCF YouTube channel has published a regular discussion show deprogrammed, hosted by Harrison Pitt, an NCF fellow who also works for Restore Britain, and Connor Tomlinson, a far-right YouTuber. Both Pitt and Tomlinson advocate for remigration. Guests on Deprogram in 2025 included a host of far-right figures and conspiracy theorists, such as Dan Wootton, Lucy White, Charles Cornishdale, aka Raw Egg Nationalist, Stephen Edgington, and Josh Firm, he's from Lotus Eaters, as well as former Prime Minister Liz Truss. Pitt's colleagues at Restore Britain, Charlie Downs, has also appeared as one of the show's hosts. And I just thought, seriously, Father Calvin, they're going for the New Culture Forum, like, they really are twisted.
They're despicable. And what makes me laugh is that no one in that report is far right. In fact, quite a lot of them are centrists, quite a lot of them are Zionists, a few of them are nationalists, but no one in there is a far right figure. I was down in the country in America just yesterday, and someone pulled off their ring and showed me a ring with a swastika and an SS thing on it. Like, the real far right is still out there, and the real far right is coming, and people like Hope Not Hate have no idea what's about to be unleashed on them, because they're attacking people who are centre right or just commonsensical from 5 years ago as some kind of far right extremists. The real extremists are going to be the ones who they should be afraid of, but they're trying to pull all of us down because we're trying to bring our country back. We're trying to take our country back to what it should be. Great Britain should be great again, and we all believe in it. It's not that we're pessimistic, it's that we're optimistic that our nation can be a good thing again. And they don't want it to be. They want it to be part of this globalist smudge of nothingness, of diversity and multiculturalism and just vague, ambiguous nothingness. And we don't want that. We love our country and we want to stand up for it. That's not far right. That's just patriotic.
Very well put. Very well put. Look, stand by, the three of you, because we're about to find out who has won today's Union Jackass. First, I want to get to some feedback, though. 14 Barber, thank you for the super chat. Says the state of politics. Clearly a fan of Nate H, and says thank God for Rupert. Ashley B6 says Britain will have to be liberated by the US and its allies as it's controlled by Islamic terrorists. We are certainly heading in that direction. Will121 says, what has Islam got on Starmer to justify this treachery? Lady Puttycat, who has been an outspoken member for 2 months now, thank you very much, says, whatever your thoughts about this world, you stand by our allies. We're in dangerous territory, thanks to Starmer. And Sparky Stevens, I think, really summed up quite how bad things have got here by saying, and I sort of find this funny, but it's also really sad. An Iranian lady told me she can't wait to go home to Iran and out of Britain, which she described as a miserable shithole. Mr. The Courier says, France deployed a carrier fleet and we've got one destroyer stuck in the harbour. What a joke we've become. And of course, that is in reference to the fact that we're not even defending our base in Cyprus. From Laura Gonzalez, I am sad for what has become of the once formidable Britain. And MTur66 says, we, the public, are to blame because we are spineless, moaning and doing nothing. Okay, a reminder of your nominees today for our Union Jackass. Nigel Farage, nominated by Nate H, for allowing an ex-Labour person into the party who says anyone who is here legally is a British citizen. Zach Polanski, the tit whisperer, nominated by Sarah White for wanting to legalise heroin and crack. And Nick Lowles, nominated by Father Calvin Robinson for his pathetic and weak hate report, which we just discussed, of course. In third position, with 16% of the vote, Nick Lowles. The runner-up, with 22% of the vote, Nigel Farage, which means that Sarah White is today's winner. 61% of you voting Zach Polanski as today's Union Jack, as he deserves it, doesn't he, Sarah? He deserves it.
Does deserve it, yeah.
And Nate H, you are nominating today's Greatest Britain. Who have you gone for?
Yeah, Rupert Lowe. I mean, I think he is the arguably best parliamentarian that we have at the moment. A man that is actually demonstrably selfless. He gives away his MP's salary every single month. You know, actually does the things that he says he's going to do. Where's that rape gang inquiry, Nige? Oh, Nige, mate, do you remember when Southport happened and you said that you knew loads of things that would come out and would rock the establishment? What was that, Nige? Yeah, just political posturing. So, yeah, I think Rupert Lowe deserves that, to be honest. I think he's our best parliamentarian.
Good work. Some positivity here from Clippy789, who says the UK will be fine. Keep spreading the truth. So yes, we do have to have hope, as Nate H said earlier. Thank you to my superstar panel today. Nate H is, of course, the host of the State of Politics on YouTube alongside Bo Dade. Absolutely must-watch news show for me. Sarah White is the activist and now a senior figure within Advance UK. And Father Calvin Robinson is the co-host of Reclaim the Media's Fox and Father. Thank you all. We will speak very soon. But we're moving over to Substack now for the Royal Uncancelled After Show. According to Taz is standing by. Oh, we've got big news today involving Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, who is planning this tell-all book on the royal family. What are the consequences of that? Find out in that discussion at www.outspoken.live. I will be back with you, though, tomorrow live, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube. Please do subscribe, given that, you know, those terrible people at Hope Not Hate halved my subscriber count. Come on, let's prove them wrong. Get me to 700,000, get Outspoken to 700,000. And remember, you can subscribe for our podcast completely for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.